Hello friends, this is Amr from Egypt and this is my channel. If you didn't subscribe till now, please subscribe. Our lecture today is about sickle cell disease. Sickle cell, what is the meaning of sickle? It's sickle shaped RBCs. This is a sickle shaped. This is the sickle shaped RBCs. It's due to presence of what's called the hemoglobin S or hemoglobin sickle, and it's very common in African Americans. And one of the important data in this topic is that these African Americans who uh, who have this sickle cell disease are protected against malaria, and this is a very important information. They never get affected by malaria, and one of the types of malaria is called the malaria falciparum, and the false means sickle. So the question here is, sickle cell disease protects against malaria falciparum, which is sickle shaped, and this is one of the important informations. As we know that hemoglobin is composed of two parts, the heme and the globin, where the globin is amino acid and the heme is composed of two parts, the iron and the protoporphyrin. Whereas the problem in sickle cell disease, it's in the globin amino acid, whereas there is abnormality in beta globin chains. Abnormality in the beta globin chains. This is the sequence of amino acids in this beta globin chains, and at position number 6 here, the glutamic acid at this position is replaced by valine amino acid, and this is a point mutation. It's an autosomal recessive disease. With genetic mutations in the gene encoding for this amino acid at position number 6 in the beta globin chain. It is replaced by valine. And so what is the abnormalities in this hemoglobin S, and what differs from hemoglobin A? On exposure to stress like dehydration, fever, or hypoxia, this hemoglobin S polymerize. What is the meaning of polymerization? It accumulates in this shape. The hemoglobin S becomes sickled, and the RBCs become converted from its normal shape, which is biconcave shape, disc-like structure, become converted into this sickle shape, and this sickle shape is detected by the spleen as a foreign, and there is hemolysis. This is a type of hemolytic anemia, where the lifespan of RBCs is shortened because it becomes of abnormal shape and the spleen detects it as an abnormal. And this sickling of RBCs leads to formation of microthrombi within the platelets, and this is one of the microangiopathic hemolytic anemia. Differential diagnosis here of microangiopathic hemolytic anemia. Let's get started again. Sickle cell disease is a disease that is common in African Americans, where the hemoglobin is converted from normal hemoglobin to what's called hemoglobin S. Hemoglobin S becomes more than 30%, and the hemoglobin S have problem in its structure. This problem is that the globin chain at position number 6 become glutamic acid converted to valine or replaced by valine. This is a type of a single point mutation, and this hemoglobin S, on exposure to stress in the form of dehydration, fever, hypoxia, there is polymerization. This polymerization leads to its detection by the reticuloendothelial system as foreign material, leads to hemolysis, autoimmune hemolytic anemia, and microthrombi within the microcirculation. What is the clinical manifestations? Number 1, manifestations of anemia, which is fatigue, dizziness, shortness of breath, intermittent claudications. Number 2 is vaso-occlusive syndromes, when these microthrombi become engorged into the capillaries of certain organs. They lead to vaso-occlusive syndromes. So what are the vaso-occlusive syndromes? Occlusion of the cerebral vessels leads to cerebral stroke. Of the coronary circulation leads to myocardial infarction. Of the renal vessels leads to renal infarction. And of the venous circulation leads to priapism. You will never forget that priapism is very characteristic of sickle disease when it occurs. When you find a person with priapism, what is priapism? This is persistent, painful, sustained erection of the penis. And this is very good for females. Yes, I like this guy. It's priapism. It's persistent erection for more than 24 hours, which is very painful. How to diagnose? There is anemia. What kind of anemia? This anemia means that hemoglobin is low. Hemoglobin is low means that in the adult female it's less than 11 gram per deciliter, and in the adult male it's less than 12 gram per deciliter. What kind of anemia? It's a hemolytic, which is characterized by elevation in the LDH, elevation in the unconjugated bilirubin, and increase in the reticulocytes because the bone marrow is going very fast. What if blood film is done during the attack? During the attack, you will find this sickle-shaped RBCs, and there is a very nice question for the United States medical license examination. The Haematology bodies. Sickle cell disease is characteristic smear is sickle cells and the Haematology bodies. Haematology bodies. How to confirm my diagnosis? Confirm it by doing hemoglobin electrophoresis. You will find that hemoglobin S is more than 30%. How to treat this patient? This drug is very important in this disease. Hydroxyurea. Hydroxyurea reduces the acute attacks of painful crises which occurs, and the only curative treatment is hematopoietic stem cell transplantation. It should be done before the age of 16, and the blood transfusion is supportive treatment. And when the pain in severe having cases of acute myocardial infarction, morphia may be given, analgesia, which is usually morphia or pethidine. Again, a quick recap. Sickle cell disease is a disease of the hemoglobin. It is autosomal dominant disease, autosomal recessive disease, and in some textbooks it is called incomplete autosomal dominant disease because the heterozygous is not free, the carrier is not free, but on exposure to severe stress it can also sickle. And there is abnormality in the globin, beta globin chain of the globin part of the hemoglobin, where at position number 6 the glutamic acid is replaced by valine, so it's a single point mutation. This leads to formation of more than 30% of hemoglobin S. This hemoglobin S on exposure to stressful conditions such as exposure to infections, fever, dehydration, hypoxia, it polymerize, and the RBCs become shape is sickle shaped like the mangle, and this sickling RBCs will be hemolyzed by the spleen because it's abnormal cells, and also will make microthrombi. And so its differential diagnosis is microangiopathic hemolytic anemia, which are TTP and HUS. Please revise our channel, subscribe and like. Treatment mainly is supportive, blood transfusion, good hydration during the attack, analgesia, and please give to the patient while going to his home hydroxyurea because it decreases the painful crises. I'm Amir from Egypt, and here is my channel. Please subscribe and like. See you next time in next lecture. Thank you.